Welcome to Talk to Ringside Live, brought to you by Ringside Australia. My name is Ahmad and I am the CEO of Ringside Australia. During our discussion today, we will be discussing a few features you need to look for while purchasing a pair of boxing sparring gloves. Now, as we know, during sparring, sessions can get very heated and intense. So we need to purchase gloves or equipment in general that are basically going to be up to the task of our sparring sessions. You'll be sparring time after time and endless times during the month, during your training camp. Whatever the reason be or the cause be, it's a part of the sport that is very physical, very high demand. So you want to ensure that you've got the best possible equipment while sparring. Now, sparring is basically taking everything you've learned and putting it together in the ring. All the bag work, all the mitt work, all the drills you've done, you take it, you put it together in the ring and you implement it. Now, a few features to look for while looking to purchase a pair of sparring gloves is one of the first features is, I must say, is the padding of the actual sparring gloves. So here we have a pair of 16-ounce lace-up sparring gloves, and what you see here is there's a whole amount of padding right on top of your knuckles. You want to make sure that your knuckles are nicely protected, because when you're sparring, you're basically throwing a whole heap of punches during the heat of the moment. Some punches land, some punches don't. Sometimes you might hit your opponent on the forehead, which is a very hard surface. Sometimes you might hit them right in your elbow, which can hurt. If you don't have a glove that is basically well equipped for your sessions with a whole heap of padding that's going to protect your knuckles, you're going to encounter a lot of knuckle problems. You might break one or two, and it's just going to limit your training. You're going to keep having disruption after disruption. So you want to ensure that the pair of gloves you purchase has an adequate amount of knuckle padding on the top, so your knuckles are nice and protected. Point number 2 is the wrist reinforcement. Now, my recommendation while sparring is to go for the lace-ups. A pair of lace-up gloves basically allows you to put your hands right in, and then you can tie the lace nice and sturdy and tight. Keeps your wrist very nice and sturdy. So for example, I put my hand in here, my wrist is nice and covered. It's gone way beyond the point of my wrist. Nice and tight. So therefore, when I throw my punches, landing punches from unorthodox angles, landing them on hard surfaces, a lot of shock on your wrist and a lot of, I would say, maybe absorption of shock right on your wrist. So you want to make sure that they are protected. Not only they're nice and sturdy, but on top of your wrist, as you can see here, there's a heap of padding that protects your wrist. So you want to make sure that you're purchasing a glove that's taking all these factors into consideration, because without your wrist and your knuckles, if they're not fine, if they begin to break down session after session, you're basically looking at giving the sport away, because you'll be in too much pain and things, and you'll stop enjoying the sport. Point number 3, what it comes down to also is the size of the actual glove. Now, for the heavier weights, you tend to purchase a 16-ounce glove. The heavier boys, there's more padding, there's more protection, so they need the 16-ounce gloves. Also, they have bigger hands, so you want to make sure that you can move your hands nice and freely in the glove. You're going to be in there sometimes for 10, 12, 14 rounds. Some rounds go for 2, 3, 4 minutes, depending on what you're basically training for. So you have to make sure that wearing a pair of gloves that's going to protect not only you, but also the person that you are sparring. The lighter rounds tend to work with 14-ounce gloves because they are lighter. They punch. Some people would argue that they don't punch as hard as the heavier boys. Some people say they do. So that's up in the air for debate. Point number 4 is the padding on the non-strikeable surface of the glove. So on the inside here and towards the sides. Now, while you're sparring, you're catching, you're parrying punches, so you want to make sure that you can basically parry a punch without feeling the effect straight in your palm or on the inside of your hands. Because punch after punch, you're catching it, you're wearing the inside of your hand down, they're eventually going to break down, and your hands are going to drop, your face is going to be exposed, and obviously you're going to be punched in the face. We want to be able to hold our hands up, catch our punches, counter, and move forward. So in summary, 4 things to look for while purchasing a pair of sparring gloves is: number 1 is the padding, number 2 is the wrist reinforcement, number 3 is the size of the glove. As we said, if you're a heavier boy with the heavier weight divisions, I'd say super middleweight and above maybe, you go with 16 ounces, middleweights and down maybe, or even middleweights and up, 16 ounce. Lower than middleweight, I'd go with 14 ounce, and they should keep you nice and safe. Number 4 would be the padding on the inside of the glove. As we said, you'll be catching a lot of punches, you'll be parrying a lot of punches. You want to make sure you're nice and comfortable, you're safe, and you're enjoying the sport, most importantly. Thank you for watching. We'll be in touch and back next week at 1 p.m. Wednesday, Melbourne local time. Any questions you have, feel free to shoot them through the comment section or hashtag us on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram at #TalkToRingsideLive. Thank you.